When I was 5, I was a victim of sexual abuse by a family friend. I was so ashamed and humiliated by what happened to me that I didn't tell anybody about it for many years. Growing up, I only heard whispers of the unspeakable tragedies my Jewish grandparents endured. They were survivors of pogroms and the Holocaust and lost much of their families. They never spoke about what happened to them, and we weren't allowed to speak about it either. That was how they coped, by burying the traumas of their past. Those unspoken intergenerational traumas led to depression and mental illness. My mom was barely able to function, and when my parents' marriage ended in a bitter divorce, she was left a single mom of 3, overwhelmed and checked out. We were basically left to fend for ourselves, but as kids, we weren't prepared for that. My brother came out as a member of the LGBTQ community, and my mom had a hard time accepting his queer identity. My brother fell into depression and substance abuse, and 4 days before my 13th birthday, my brother died by suicide. When I lost my brother, a part of me died with him. I was so distraught. And of course, understandably, my birthday was ruined. I didn't have any kind of support. So I internalized my feelings and escaped into my imagination as my way of coping. This is when I unknowingly discovered the power of imagination, and it saved my life. For over 20 years, I have been creating community art experiences that help others find hope and healing through hardships and trauma. I'm an artist and an expressive arts therapist. In expressive arts, we awaken the senses and the imagination to help people create their path forward through life's challenges. In my sessions, we focus on exploration and play, whether it's with paint, clay, drums, or any art material. We just try new things to get out of your comfort zone. So we're going to try a little bit of this process together to help you awaken your imaginations. So please close your eyes and just take a comfortable breath. Please do a body scan. This means you're going to scan your body from the top of your head down to your toes, just to notice the sensations in your body right now. Now, keeping your eyes closed, tune into your imagination. When I say resilience, what do you see? Does it have a shape or color? Is it big or small? What do you hear? Is it loud or quiet? Now, holding on to that awareness, please bring your attention back to the room. Open your eyes, and if it feels good for you, take a nice stretch. Resilience. Why are we talking about it? We're all grappling with complex existential challenges like the climate crisis, inequity, and unrest, leaving many of us feeling overwhelmed or confused. How do we thrive in times like this? According to the World Health Organization, 280 million people are struggling with depression. What can we do? Expressing yourself will help you create your path forward. When you engage your senses and your imagination, you discover new ways of doing things. You find your strengths and you cultivate new forms of resilience. Creating didn't just awaken my resilience, It really was the fabric that held me together. I grew up in California in the 1970s, and the arts were experimental. I was into events called happenings, where the art was about the process and not the product. Even as a kid, I understood that this was groovy and different and cool, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. It also helped me to imagine a way out of the turmoil of my life. I imagined myself living among creatives in an art factory like my idol, Andy Warhol. I even had ideas for experimental films, like an 8-hour movie of me just sleeping. By high school, I was determined to become an artist, and it was my favorite TV show, Dynasty, that inspired me to make the bold move to study in Paris. In August of 1986, I bought myself a one-way ticket on TWA to study at the American College in Paris. I will always remember the fear and excitement I felt as I boarded that flight alone to head out into the world. And I had never felt so alive. In Paris, I created my first art happenings. I was co-editor of the Paris Atlantic Journal of Poetry, and I organized poetry readings for expats and students like you in the Grand Salon on Avenue Bosquet. After so many years of being silent, I finally had the chance to tell my stories, and I learned that by holding a safe and courageous space, others could too. Fast forward to my 30s. I was living in Los Angeles, showing my work in galleries, and I was steadily building my art career. Along the way, I earned a master's in psychology and certificates in yoga and mindfulness. I became a new mom in 2008, right as the global financial crisis hit. When my neighbors lost their home, I created the Cupcake Project. I traded homemade cupcakes for handwritten stories on index cards that became part of a growing community installation about economic disparity. What started on the streets of Los Angeles expanded to major art institutions over about 2 years. This was the first immersive project that I created that blended art, advocacy, and healing. Creating a space for people to be able to express their stories during such a difficult time offered them a sense of hope and comfort. My last project of this period was the Closet Disco Memorial, a tribute celebrating my brother's life and his legacy as a gay rights activist and beloved disco DJ. This piece also gave me the chance to tell my brother how much I loved him and missed him, and was my way of saying goodbye. This was a turning point for me. All of my experiences, the good and the bad, and everything I had created up to this point, helped me to see my purpose. I wanted to help people transform their lives through the arts. But I needed to understand the science behind art and healing. And this is what led me to my training in expressive arts therapy. Putting words to feelings can be really hard. But when you awaken your senses, you find a very gentle and natural way of getting in touch with your feelings and emotions. Creating helps you discover how to make something. When you awaken your imagination and you work in the art studio, you don't have a plan. You just begin creating. You discover how to make art. This is what we call poesis. So when you go into the art studio without a plan and you start creating, you just make one move and then another, figuring it out as you go. And believe it or not, this process actually helps you become more comfortable with change and uncertainty. Because in this way, you're just playing and having fun and not worrying about anything. Sometimes in life, we want quick fixes to problems, but that's not always possible. And we need to learn to be okay with that. I had to learn to be okay with that. My father died during the pandemic, and on the day of his funeral, I was diagnosed with incurable blood cancer. I really, there's no words. I was overwhelmed and in shock, and I did not know what to do. So I turned to my expressive arts community, and together we laughed and we cried and we danced and we drew. A word in one of the drawings spoke to me: patience. It reminded me to stay in the present moment, not worry about the future, and just to trust the creative process. When I did that, I realized that the strength I was looking for wasn't out there. It was in here. I connected with my true resilience. Thankfully, my condition is stable now. And I know that life's uncertainties will keep coming. When you immerse yourself in the creative process, you tune into your knowing and your wisdom. This is the foundation of our resilience. I didn't know what I was looking for until I found it. If that 5-year-old little girl could speak to me right now, she would say, "Happy birthday," because today, March 23rd, is my 57th birthday. All right, now, please come back to your breath and your imagination. When I say resilience, now, what do you see? What do you feel? What do you hear? If it could speak to you right now, what would it say? Never stop asking, never stop imagining, and never stop creating.